sure this troubadour was acting on his part. The union of your spirits here has caused him to remain. For whenever two or more of you are gathered in his name, there is love. There is love. Will a man shall leave his mother, and a woman leave her home? They shall travel on to where the two shall be as one. As it was in the beginning, is now until the end. Woman draws her life from man and gives it back again, and there is love. There is love. you.
I'm gonna start with let's start with myself leading up. And that's an easy story.
I was born a poor young black child.
When I came to this continent, I first came to Canada.
We're going head to head tonight.
Came to Canada in February '58. I spent 3 years in Canada. You know that story, right?
Yes.
I spent 3 years in Canada, and during those 3 years I had 15 jobs. Actually, the last job lasted a year, so I had 14 jobs over 2 years.
A lot of experience.
Yeah, well, I learned a lot. I also met a girl, got married, we had a baby girl, and I got divorced. And I learned a lot there too. So then on a Saturday morning in early November 1960, I had all my belongings packed in my VW Beetle. I left Toronto and I was on my way to California.
Das Auto.
That's all. I had a scheduled stop in Cleveland, Ohio, because my Austrian friend from Canada, who later on became my brother-in-law, but that's a different story. He had, a few months prior to that, been hired by American Greetings as an engraver. So he lived in Cleveland. He lived on Edgewater Drive on Lakewood in a big mansion.
He was rich.
No, he rented a room that was probably as big as this room here.
Oh, yeah. It was
Like but it didn't have a bathroom. He had to share a bathroom.
And he had to warm his meals in the dish. Yeah, in the bathing, under warm water. He did.
That's also another story. Anyway, I got here on a Saturday noon. I left Toronto in the morning, got here Saturday afternoon. I got together with Joe, my brother-in-law. That night we went out. He wanted to show me the nightlife of Cleveland. Well, we did the whole thing. Short Vincent in those days, and everything. And we celebrated so hard that he was sicker than a dog the next day. And I had planned to leave the next day, but I stayed through the weekend to nurse him back to.
You were fine. He was sicker than a dog.
So then in the course of Sunday, when he sobered up, he convinced me that, hey, this Cleveland isn't that bad, And you bought it. I left Canada without too much cash. I just had my belongings. So, well, okay, I'll try to find a job here. I stayed a little while, Well, and after a few days, I found a job that I actually ended up working at for 10 years, And I learned a lot. And then that's where I met Eddie. Eddie's Rumsey. So and Mike. Anyway, the much more important thing that happened is that, and one of the reasons Joe, my friend, was able to talk me into even staying was he said that, on every Monday, tomorrow, the German tennis club meets. at the American Turners on Lorraine Avenue. And he said, you ought to stay long enough to go there because it's a majority of girls, and he said, they have a whole bunch of horny German girls.
Your mother is
German tennis club that played, this was in November, of course they weren't playing because they didn't have their own facilities. They played at the Buckley Courts in Lakewood, in Cleveland, west side of Cleveland, right along the shoreway. So, and I, always thought I wanted to take up tennis. So. But again, it was November. And I went to that club, and I guess he was right, first of all. There were a lot of single girls.
And they were all horny.
And there's a few of them here tonight that'll dispute that. But we actually, my brother-in-law and I both concentrated on a different set of girls first.
Concentrate on a set of girls.
The prettier ones.
The close one, there was a family with how many girls? 4 or 5 girls that were eligible and so on. And then, but yeah, anyway, I don't want to drag this out too long. I promise. But it was one more meeting after that, and that's when we both.
No.
That's wrong, Mom.
I have the chronological order. I'll call on you, and so. But one more meeting, and then we sort of zeroed in on the 2 sisters here. They. By the way, they're only 1 year apart. And, they were living together, and they were easy prey. Let's put it. So instead of, that's right, that's what Margaret wants me to keep saying, instead of playing tennis in the winter, that same club, which was really a matchmaking, a marriage institute. More people were members there that got married within a year or 2 after that. Right? So, anyway, but then we couldn't play tennis outside, so they decided to go skiing. A bunch of them were really good skiers already. So we used to go to Mansfield, snow trails in Mansfield.
I always go to Mansfield to ski.
That's the word for you.
And then, we went skiing together, and a romance developed. And the romance between Hannelore and Joe kind of developed a lot faster than ours. And what, you got married already the following year?
62.
62, yeah.
2 weeks.
And, well, Margaret didn't work that well, that fast with Margaret because she kept saying, I don't want anything serious. And I said, yeah, that's fine. I'm okay with that. So anyway, she was going to go back to Germany. So now you're going to tell your story, leading up to this thing. All right, I'm going to tell Margaret's story. And this is only hearsay.
Margaret! We want to hear you.
Oh.
had an older sister, much older sister, 12 years
12
old,
years old.
from a different mother, same father, that had come over here a few years before with the full intention of settling here.
Yeah.
I want to say this right now. Neither Margaret nor I, and I'm mostly speaking for myself, can take credit for consciously wanting to immigrate to this country. Yeah, I'm not, this is for me, not Margaret. I was just bumming around and I got stuck here. That's an honest to goodness truth. I went to Canada. I came to Canada on a
Obama did the same thing.
Anyway, I came from Germany the cheapest possible way, which was a Dutch ship that had been converted from a troop transport. The Dutch used to have colonies in Indonesia, you know, and everything. So they had a lot of shipping going on. There was a troop carrier there, and they converted that into a passenger ship. And it was the cheapest way at the time. It was the equivalent like $150 or so. And the ship was loaded with big Dutch families. And that's what as opposed to what I was doing, you know, I admired that because they made a big commitment. You know, somebody pulls up their roots in Holland, they have a decent living, but they think they can make a better living, so they came over with a bunch of kids, you know, and I saw all those families on the ship. So, speaking for myself, I just, you know, was bumming around because Margaret was invited by her 12-year-old older sister to come and babysit for their second
So
one,
she
right?
can work.
So she could work. So Margaret was 15 years old.
60. No, you turned. 60.
62 days after you got here, something like that. I found out a few interesting things last night, and I think I'm gonna. Last night. I found out last night that Hannelore used to do all the talking for Margaret. They talked about that. She's 1 year older, and they talked about last night. They're saying Margaret just had to start a sentence, and Hannelore used to finish. So I want you to feel free to do that with me. And
That's why she married you.
so. Anyway, so she started babysitting for her sister. Her sister was nice enough to send her to school over here, so she finished high school over here.
I didn't know any English. I know.
Yeah, so
Just 15 years old.
So it worked out well. In the meantime, you've seen the pictures. Margaret had left one older sister.
4 siblings. I left.
4 siblings, two brothers, and the younger sister. You were there already, right?
Yeah.
Behind in Germany with her parents, you know.
6
But
years. Yeah.
and then you helped them, you know, with the money. Dollar was really strong in those days, so
I
Margaret sent
supported.
money over there.
She supported us.
So she has been here when I met you.
I was here 4, 5, 6 years.
6
Longer than you were in Canada.
longer than I was over here. You know, so anyway, still living with her sister. In the meantime, a year before I met you, Hannelore came over and joined them. You know. So, the romance with the Hadas went a lot quicker, and they got married, and we were part of the wedding party. Well, and then I think I'll just close out the rest of the time. In 1964, and we got married in October. We got married immediately after our honeymoon. Within a couple of weeks, but we had a 6.5 months,
7 months.
close to 7 months honeymoon in Europe.
Greece.
And you still married him? He had all the money.
Well, that has also been called a test drive.
Oh, your friend says a love
Look at the guy winning all this. Part of the story. Susie says I'm losing. Well, actually, prior to, we decided together to go to Europe. And the truth is,
And meet my family. And
well,
your
the
family.
truth is that we really intended to get married in Germany.
Did you ask our mother?
Well, that's what made it so difficult. That's why we delayed it. There was a minor difficulty there. But the dollar was still so strong in those days. I mean, well, for all practical purposes, like 4 times the buying power. Well, it had actual buying power in Germany, 4 times than what you could get here. You know.
When it helped our decision.
So when we got to Germany, we from our saved money, Margaret bought her dowry.
My China.
She bought her china and her silver and everything.
Did you buy her a diamond?
No, we stayed practical. we bought a car. I bought a really nice car Mangia. In those 7 months, I put 15,000 miles on it. Wore out 1 set of tires in Europe. I bought the car. We bought ski equipment because soon after we got there, my sister was headed for the annual, end of February. She was headed for an annual trip to Austria to go skiing. So we decided quickly we'll go along. But Margaret didn't decide. She had gone to her mother, and I had gone to her mother, and I said, hey, next week, Sister Hilga is going to ski trip. Can you come back up here and we'll go skiing with them? And you got to spend like 1 week with your family. So anyway, we what else did we buy? All camera equipment I bought. Well, and then we spent 6 months in Europe, and that was from working at Superior Tool and Die for
We went all over Europe.
4 years.
Wow.
Yeah. So I mean that's the standard of living in those days, and the difference in the standard of living. So, we traveled all over Europe, skiing in the winter. We went to Greece and the Greek islands in summer, Yugoslavia, and Italy and Switzerland. Anyway, but we learned a lot. So then we were in Paris. So we came back, and
All we had was a car.
we had a car, we had the stuff we bought, and
Nothing else.
probably a couple $100. And my sister-in-law and Joe were nice enough to house us for
Few weeks
a few weeks, right?
until we found something.
And then we rented our first place. Well, then within a month after we came back from our honeymoon, we got married. So then, from then on,
We had our wedding party at her
in
basement.
her basement.
Yeah, in our basement now.
It was a big party. Maybe 10 people.
We had a fish, And
Well,
we did the cooking ourselves.
Yeah, we did the cooking ourselves, yeah.
So that was, I guess that's how it started. So I'm not sure that I want to spend any time talking about
And
the
then-
later history.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Dave is falling asleep.
Wake up, Dave.
Well, I also wanted to cut this as short as I can.
But you're not.
I want to give some of my really good friends an opportunity to say something also. And especially the big mouth over here. No, I'm just kidding. So anyway, so that's, did I cover it?
We met,
Oh, you missed about 30 years.
We met Copinelli's, and that was one of the highlights.
oh, Mike, I am. Oh,
I'm gonna tell you about the try to do it without saying on top of it.
that's another story.
You're not just talk, Margaret?
Last time, Mike, did you get a look at the size of him?
Easy. Be careful here.
Last time, Mike tried to kiss Margaret and get a
Oh,
little
we
fresh.
were there.
Oh, no!
Get a little fresh.
No, we were there.
That was in Florida.
He ended up
He damaged the car.
put a dent in my car. Ended up laying on the floor. Unfortunately, with my poor little wife on the bottom.
She's very
Next
tough.
day, I walked in, she went,
She's resilient.
Margaret, I thought you were going to say something.
He said everything.
Come on, Margaret. Say something.
Now I can say,
Here, here.
how happy I am right now.
No, it's the other way around.
Yeah, maybe.
How happy he is. He is very
Carolyn.
happy, Margaret.
I came over in '55 and I was just out of school, my school, and I couldn't speak a word of English. My mother had a ticket over my
Your measly little chest.
yeah. My married sister that I came to, she wanted me to come over.
I can't dig you out of this hole.
She paid a ticket on a really nice cruise ship. I was on a cruise ship coming over. He came on a freighter. Anyways,
Take that.
Take that, Walter.
and it was so well organized. There were several young people that also came, single, girls. So a minister picked us up. I had to stay on the board until this minister came and took
New York.
in New York, yeah, when we arrived. And he took me to the train station and put me on the train where my sister then met me in Cleveland. Because she was married already at then. She's 12 years older than I. So she picked me up there and then I spent 2 years with her family because she wanted me to be there for her kids. She's a nurse at Lakewood Hospital. She was. Yeah. So she wanted me to take care of her kids while I came over on a visitor's visa only.
She's actually a wetback.
No ad living.
Digging this hole deeper.
So she wanted me to take care of her kids while she and she was a nurse at night, and during the day, and the meantime she was really good to children. And during the day, her husband and her painted houses, Lakewood, outside. But they worked really hard, and they had I don't know how many houses they had already. I mean, a lot of time. Without a car. At first, they didn't have a car, and then they finally bought a car.
When I met Margaret, and she was still living there. Or you were still living there. And I'd take
She
her
shared a
out.
room. She
I'd take her
was
out.
renting her house.
But we paid for our
We
room.
had to pay for our
Yes,
rent.
we did.
She raised the rent when the other sister.
Yeah,
But I used to take Margaret out to dinner. The favorite thing to do was Chinese food, you know, and we come back, and we always come back with a doggy bag from Chinese
Of course.
food, you know. And we would bring that home, and they would just, the kids would just be all over that.
They never
And then they
went
said, never had been out to a restaurant.
No.
They've been here for,
Well, a few years, at least 6 years.
6 or 8 years.
Yeah, at least.
Anyway,
Yeah.
I was older than 6 before I went to a restaurant.
Oh, yeah.
See?
you were 6, you were older than
I was older than 6
Yeah,
before
there
I
you
went to a restaurant.
I was 21 when I went to a restaurant.
Anyways, I went to Cleveland. They had at that time a lot of it was late 50s. So I went to what was it in Cleveland? They had a school for immigrants to learn English. I went there every night downtown, by bus. And then afterward, I went to high school evenings to the West Tech High School.
Wow.
And I graduated.
Wow.
But in the meantime, I also had a job at Lakewood Hospital because my sister was a nurse there. So she got me a job after. I worked my fare off and took care of the kids for 2 years. So I earned my own living.
Yes, you did.
Yeah, but according to her, you still owe her some money.
Yeah, the last time she talked to her, she said I
still owe her some.
You too?
No.
So then I decided after a while, I went to Germany once by myself. I mean, to visit my family again. And then when I came back, I met Walter in the 60s.
That was the
And
beginning
that
of
was
the
a
end.
downhill.
She's on her way up until then.
No, I belong to that German tennis.
The horny woman.
It's called Edelweiss Ski Club.
Blauweiss Tennis Club and
Blauweiss,
Edelweiss.
yeah.
Blauweiss Tennis Club and Edelweiss Ski Club.
So does the word love come into this?
Head over heel.
Now, you're a typical lawyer to ask.
Oh, be quiet. Would you settle down?
Only you would have that question.
Well, it's the 50th anniversary.
He's sitting right next to me, so
No,
he
he
has-
needs the money.
he is still a lawyer, so he So after I met Walter, I said I didn't want to get married. I didn't want to have anything to do. I'm not
With
gonna,
that.
I didn't want to get serious, like you said. Yeah.
You were
Well,
heading back to Germany.
But once we got together with all the German club, and Hannelore met Joe, and well, we decided, I guess.
She got caught up in the spirit.
Yeah, I and then he took me to a nice European tour for 6 months and paid for all of it.
There we go.
Wow.
But he stayed in a tent, all never
He
would
paid
help.
for all of it, but you stayed in a tent.
Yeah. He paid for the gas and the food and all that.
I remember they did that. I remember they camped out. So Margaret, you had a good dowry?
No.
Oh yeah, she brought a good dowry.
Yeah. How many cows?
So,
We didn't have any.
Okay, so that's
That's a what, yeah.
Are you cutting her off, Walter?
And now it lasts 50 years now.
this is as much
Okay,
as
so
I
wait,
got.
Walter, wait. When did you decide that you loved her?
Oh, at first sight.
Margaret, when did you decide you loved him?
Yeah, a long time.
Pretty much,
Margaret, we all
Yeah, but
understand.
it took me on a honeymoon for 6 months. Well, that sounds good.
Baby has to marry him, right? And he's done all, he's paid for everything.
Yeah. And then we started out with the.
He did pay for the tent, you're right.
Yeah. He got it from his sister. It was one of those teepees.
So you found
You
something.
guys smoke in it?
You can't make out that he was nothing. So
Because he made it.
so we were happy that we had a tent. And it was fun at the time.
It looked like great fun. That was great.
At 6 months, I mean, we could have never done
It
it.
looked like a love story to me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
that's
I'm
wonderful.
romantic.
Thank you, Diana. You know how romantic I am.
I
And he was always on
Diana knows how romantic I am.
So Susie,
He was always.
hello Susie. May we fast forward here a minute? Hello.
Oh, a toast, yes.
Oh,
Well,
here, hold on.
Hold
on.
Everything.
Very important.
we're gonna fast forward here
Okay, we
because we know these two are very family oriented and they reared wonderful family. Mickey, Susie, who are responsible for this event tonight. Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you for that. 5 grandchildren that are mostly here, I think, all.
Three of them. The oldest and the youngest on this.
Okay, well, but they're with us in spirit.
Yeah.
So we have a wonderful family orientation for which Margaret and Walter, for younger people that are here tonight, I'll mention any names.
You mean I'm your idol?
Wonderful role model. You'll be married many more years than I ever will. Now, on behalf of the Glee Club and tennis group, we would like to assemble and sort of wish you well by song. And mostly this is dedicated to you, Margaret, because
Thank you.
you have put up with a lot. So we have some distinguished guests. We have very long time counselor and neighbor,
Yeah.
Ralph Carpinelli, who has been lifetime friends, right? I think, yeah. Counselor, I'm going to ask you to join Maestro Bill, who is going to lead us over here on the side. Would you join us?
Oh my God, you guys are fabulous.
We're going to also follow. I'm losing control here. Maestro Bill. One voice.
One voice.
Yeah, one voice. Until the music starts. Now, Walter, we know you're okay with numbers, but I played poker with you. You ain't great. So behind you through a lot of years, we know there's somebody that really takes care of the numbers. Mr. Anders, would you please join us? Over here, please. We're in the Glee Club. We would You're over, please. Maestro Bill will be leading us in a minute. So let us now, does it feel good? If I may have the floor a minute here. In recent years, it's been known that it's still my deal. By the way, I got about another half hour based on the deal. In recent years, you've had one or two health problems.
Yeah,
It's been documented, you know. And there's a guy here tonight who is pretty well known in the medical community. Actually, very well known. In fact, I'm hearing that at University Hospital there's rose petals that follow him down. I don't know if that's true or not, but I'm hearing that. So, Dr. Anders, I'm going to ask you to please join me.
The average age just dropped.
I wasn't going to mention age, but... And then, around this table, there's a few people that you might recognize that play tennis, and we weren't in it to find significant others in tennis, although some of us did, Mr. Case, I think. Yeah.
Oh, hey, yes.
But Mr. Case, Dr. Moorhead, if you would please rise. Mr. Burge, if you would rise. And then, I guess it's me. That's my bride over there. Thank God she showed up tonight because she's going to drive home. Now, the Raymonds over the years, yeah, they gravitated to Cleveland, but one thing we really know is that they love sunshine, right?
Yeah.
First of all, it's Kiowa, and that was an important part of their life for a lot of years with the Carpinellis and extended friends and family. Now it's further south because that wasn't warm enough. No, we can't be in South Carolina. We got to be all the way in Florida right now. So yeah, the bones and all like that. But, Walter, this is our attempt on behalf of the tennis and the extended glee club to offer to Margaret, your love of life for 50 years, our song.
I can't wait. What a build-up.
are my sunshine, my only sunshine, my make me happy when eyes are blue. I'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away.
My friend and neighbor.
Well, my wife and I have spent about 42 years of this 50 years of marriage.
Yeah.
Here.
And I've learned an awful lot tonight of these two. I thought I knew him. But I have to say that I know everybody in this room has one thing in common. We all know them, we love them. We're either related or we're friends and neighbors. But a long time ago, I was at a wedding and reception in Houston, Texas. And at the reception, everybody was sitting at their tables, and at each table, a person was asked to give their definition of a successful marriage. And when they came to my table, being the big mouth that I am, and lawyer, the question was, what is your definition of successful marriage? And I was going to be very serious. I didn't mean to be funny. And I did say that, well, I got up and I said, well, I think a successful marriage consists of I call a successful marriage a contest. It's a competition between a husband and wife to see how much good you can do to the other. Let's see who can do the most to each other. That's a successful marriage. And for some reason or other, I got a big laugh. and I meant it to be serious, and I mean it very serious today. And here's a perfect example of a successful marriage. All right. And I'd like to add
That's the nicest thing you've said to me in a long time. Normally what I hear from my friend is, you son of a bitch, you're so lucky. You're so lucky. You don't know how lucky you are.
But Walter, I'm
I
not.
finally get a little credit.
But Walter, I'm not finished. You want it now? I didn't mean for this to turn into a roast because we don't have enough time for me to compete with this guy. But seriously, I mean, you have to have another element in your marriage, which also makes it very successful. And I think in our neighborhood, and I consider it our neighborhood because my wife lives there too, I think a husband and wife have to be able to know how to ignore each other at the right time. Margaret will ignore Walter when he wants to do something of questionable nature or questionable conduct. She'll ignore him. Walter will ignore her when she says, no, don't do that. and I can tell you this, our tennis crew and the periphery crew will attest to the fact that every time there was a questionable behavior of any kind, it was always preceded by the statement, Walter, are you nuts? Now you know what I mean. This is the first time I've heard you let Margaret talk so much. So we're seeing a lot of firsts here tonight, Walter. So in the meantime, I won't really turn this into a roast because I do love him. He became my brother whether I like it or not. You know what a pain in the butt brothers can be. I've got two of them. So I'm his pain in the butt, I'm sure. But in any event, let me just say that I marvel at the success of this marriage. I've had an opportunity to watch it grow. When we first moved into the neighborhood, I saw him on a horse with a big bushy mustache and a pipe sticking out of his face. He looked like a shaggy Roy Rogers. But I got to know him and love him and know him over the many years and then watching him. I remember when Margaret used to work at McDonald's and drive her little Volkswagen at night, worked nights at McDonald's, while he was sleeping. I said to him, aren't you worried about her driving at night in the snow? She's working at McDonald's, she's got this little Volkswagen. She could take care of herself. She'll be fine. I worried about her. But anyway, they evolved from that position, and they not only had, as Dave said, a successful family, beautiful children, and their spouses are first class, and their grandchildren. So Walter and Margaret, you have so much to be proud of, and it's been a pleasure for all of us to watch you grow. So I think we'd all like to say collectively that we wish you and Margaret the happiest 50-year marriage and hope that you have nothing but good health and good happiness for the rest of your life.
Thank you.
Here, here.
Yeah.
Thank
Complains when I don't shave. This is wet.
That's a neighbor.
That was great, Ralph. That was great.
Here,
Great.
here.
Great.
Good job, Ralph.
That, you did a good